Mark, 15 seconds until they're...
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
Man, it feels great to be a Duck.
Give it to me, baby. My house. I'm taking it there.
Their competitors, they'll want to put the O on.
Three, got it!
We're going to compete to a standard every day.
The Oregon standard.
Rebound, tap it in! 1.4 to go!
The opportunity to play, put Oregon on your chest, should mean a great deal to you.
Unloads on one into left field, back toward the wall. Gone!
This program is staged to compete and to win championships.
Oregon wins!
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield. Presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, let's talk Oregon athletics.
We are going to talk Oregon athletics with the voice of the Wildcats, Brian Jeffries, coming up in just a moment. He'll have the call on the Arizona side of things for the 6 o'clock kickoff on Saturday. Will be televised on the Pac-12 network. Terry Johns begins our pregame show at 4 p.m. from Tucson. You know, I never remember. Is Tucson on the same time zone as us right now? Because they don't do daylight savings. I never remember this. So every year I'm like, wait, so in football season they're the same time as us, but then in basketball season they're not the same time as us? I never remember. I will be honest, maybe this is a controversial opinion for a sports talk show. I wish that we would do away with daylight savings time. I just can never remember these things. And so selfishly speaking, when we go play in the desert, I always have to think about it. I think it's 6 o'clock local time as well as 6 o'clock Pacific time. We'll find out together. 4 o'clock pregame show with Terry Johns. Going to be a good pregame show coming up. Coach Meat, Demetrius Martin, the coach that will be featured. He is an excellent interview talking with Terry Johns. Today on the show, we're going to hear from Troy Franklin, Duck wide receiver, who has really emerged as a big play threat for the Ducks. And I think against this Arizona secondary that I feel is still pretty solid. They return a lot of guys back. I think that's going to be a good test. I mentioned Brian Jeffries will be joining us. And Terra McGowan of Oregon softball. This is great. She is spearheading an effort as part of fall ball, a toy drive for Willamette family, benefiting families that need a little bit of help in the Eugene Springfield area. Terra McGowan will be joining us in just a little while, talking about all the details of Sunday's toy drive as part of the doubleheader for Oregon softball against Corban. Free admission, by the way, at the Jane. Supposed to be a beautiful day on Sunday, 11 a.m. start. Head out to the Jane, bring an unwrapped toy, and you're going to be helping out a family in the local community. And the Oregon softball program is really getting behind this. Also some news on some baseball products. And Bennett Williams, Ross James, Christian Gonzalez, Triquez Bridges, Brandon Dorless, all ready to go on today's show. Let's hear from Troy Franklin. He's really become, as I mentioned, that big play threat for the Ducks. If you're talking about like a spectacular catch guy, I think he's one of the better ones in the country right now. Just go back to last weekend when he makes that amazing catch in the end zone. Bo Nix even said it when you heard from him on the show earlier this week, like, I didn't expect him to do that, and he did it. Troy Franklin meeting with the media heading into this matchup with the Wildcats.
You know that, well, last week you were leading the country, now you're number 2. In terms of between the 40s, that big playability between the 40-yard lines, and your production is literally leading the country in that area of the field.
Oh, really? I haven't paid attention to anything like that, you know. But I guess that's cool. It's pretty cool.
What is it about this offense and the connection you have with both where you've been able to obviously deliver some pretty big plays so far?
I just really think our whole offense is connected, and like we know what we want to do, you know. And also we just prepare a lot the week before, or days before the game. So I think just knowing what we're going to do Saturday and just getting a lot of reps in gives us like confidence to go out there and do what we do.
Have you seen him do stuff like that in practice? Is that a surprise to you at all that he has got that in his chest?
Oh no, it definitely wasn't a surprise. I think it was a surprise to me that he ran that long, or it was 80 or whatever. But definitely wasn't a surprise. Bo can run for sure.
With the exception of Georgia and obviously Washington State, how important is it for this offense to get off to a fast start and sort of build that early lead?
Wait, sorry, one more time?
With the exception of Georgia and Washington State, how important is it for you guys to get off to a fast start, especially on the offensive end?
I think it's very important. It just helps our whole team as a whole. It gives our defense confidence and things like that, and then we're just feeling good going into the game. So, yeah.
With Bo, how impressed have you been through 5 games so far with what your expectations were for him as your quarterback and what he's actually produced?
Very. Our offense is pretty, up there, with other, high-powered offenses or whatever. So I think we're doing pretty good, and he's doing a good job leading us.
What is your perception on how Dillingham's offense has really played out in the field? I mean, you guys saw it all summer, you saw it in fall camp, but now you actually see it in practice.
Yeah, it's playing out really well. And I think, everybody likes it way better than, what they're used to or whatever. Yeah, so for sure.
What do you feel like this offense can still grow?
Definitely, we can always grow. Just the little things, maybe like just little penalties, things like that. I would say, blocking on the perimeter a little bit better. And just the little things, just adjusting to things, on the go. So, yeah.
Your toe tap catch, just the highlights of that. What were your thoughts when kind of looking back at that?
Pretty much just like like kind of routine catch, basically, I would say. I think either that week or the week before, we were actually working on sideline drills. So, everything kind of just comes from practice, So, yeah.
You have a lot of texts from family or friends after that saying that.
Yeah, for sure. Most definitely.
What have you seen from this Arizona defense? What kind of challenges do they pose for you guys?
It looks like they play really fast. They got some returners back. They got a corner there that's pretty solid, I guess. So, yeah, they look like a solid team.
Caribou Keller for Stanford, obviously one of the best corners in the league. What was that matchup like? What was that experience?
It was actually pretty fun. We didn't really talk too much, but, we got our few reps in before he got injured or whatever the case was. But, yeah, it was pretty cool.
How does working with Gonzo every day in practice, I know you guys got a lot of good corners, but Gonzo in particular, how does that prepare you for just Saturdays?
Definitely, it prepares me a lot. I definitely think Gonzo is one of the best corners in the conference, or if not college football. So, working with the best every day just gives me the confidence to go out there and know that, no one else can mess with me. I'm going against the best every day. So
you're probably not facing a lot of guys more physical.
Exactly, you feel me? So, yeah.
Talked about getting stronger in the offseason too. Does that help you go up against Gonzo in practice?
Most definitely, yeah. I'm not gonna lie. In the spring, it was way different than what it was in the fall. So, when I got more weight and things on, things kind of started falling in place a little more for me. But most definitely, strength helped a lot.
Christian's, he's quiet when he gets in front of the cameras, but we've seen him talk a little bit during games. Does he talk trash during practice? Do you?
I've definitely heard Gonzo talk trash a couple of times. But, he may not do too much. He's more of like a, stare down, do a little, some. But, yeah, he don't really do too much talking. He just plays.
Dan said yesterday that with the penalties that you guys were taking accountability for all of them in practice. What does that look like out there on the field?
Yeah, so basically we just have this new rule, man. Anybody who's getting a pre-snap penalty or a penalty, during the game, they're just going to go out. Somebody else is going to go in for them, and then they have to do a certain amount of up-downs, just for a disciplinary thing. So,
yeah, you feel like it's helping so far? Do you think
most definitely, yeah. I think today we really didn't have any penalties. If we did, we probably had one or something. But yeah, I didn't really see any yellow flags out there today, and that was after 10 penalties in our game from Saturday. So yeah, that's pretty good.
They have to go out before practice and do the up downs?
Nah, it'll be during practice, so that they'll go out and then somebody else come in for them, and then they'll just go right back in after they're done.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You make them do up downs during the game?
Oh, nah. They get a pass, man. They get a pass.
Troy Franklin, Oregon wide receiver, meeting with the media this week, getting ready for that matchup in Arizona. I love at the beginning of that, he's getting asked about how his stats are so explosive and how great he's played. And he's like, oh, that's cool. He didn't even know. It's amazing the things that we all can pay attention to and look at that maybe inside those walls doesn't even make it that far. When we come back, Brian Jeffries, but first, I ruined it for Scott. Yeah, come back. You got to come back. Thank you. Eggshell uniforms, everybody. Guys, the eggshell uniforms are awesome. I am such a huge fan. And also, shout out to the Oregon creative team, because the way that they shot the photos, if you haven't seen them on social media, check it out. They look great. It looks like they're in space. It really looks like they're in outer space, and the eggshell uniform is awesome. You always do something different, don't you, at Oregon? And it looks good. Looks really good. I got to say, I really enjoy that you can wear white as the road team and the home team in this era of college football. That's how it should be. Okay, now we can go to break. And when we come back, the voice of the Wildcats, Brian Jeffries, with us on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear gas prices, Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. That says it all. Toyota hybrids. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimates, CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Dear gas prices, Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. That says it all. Toyota hybrids. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimates, CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Ready for our little forest adventure?
Yes! So much waiting for me. Yeah, I wanna go outside. I wanna be.
We're here.
Whoa, that was fast.
There's a forest closer than you think. Find a park or forest near you and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by USDA Forest Service and the Ad Council.
You're not too cool for me. And in return, I reciprocate that sentiment. I'll never be too cool for you. I was a man with a plan, but now I'm a dad with a decree, and you can't take that from me. Please let it be noted that I told my job they can dock my pay. Right now, it's just too important to take you to school every day. I want to be legendary for you. I want you to puff out your chest when you go to school, the same way I do. I walk taller because of you, because I found everything to live for.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Welcome back inside the Country Financial Studio. Duck Insider presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you, joined by the voice of the Wildcats, Brian Jeffries, with us on the horn. Brian, this is season number what for you, sir?
I've lost track, but it's mid-30s. I was 34, 35, somewhere in there. Jerry and I, are kind of joined at the hip. We started about the same time, so I think once Joe Starkey retires now, he and I might be carrying the flag, I think, for the league. I'm not sure, but it's close.
That's right. Well, congratulations then on a great career, because Jerry has been doing it, for 35. And so Coach Lanning even said something to him about that last night, 35 years of service. And, Brian, that's awesome. That's pretty cool. And I think that's, man, I hope that I get there one of these days. That's the goal anyway. I hope that I get there.
Well, you get a free shirt, so it's worth it.
I like that. Yeah. I like that. Does the Pac-12 give you one as like the banner carrier? Like, has Starkey been carrying that literal flag?
He hasn't, but if the league better do something for him, I tell you what, because he has been one of the all-time greats, and to do it as long as he has, he deserves a lot of recognition.
Oh, man, no doubt about that. Brian Jeffries with us. All right, let's talk a little bit about this matchup. So, Brian, I think that Oregon fans would describe this matchup, particularly when it's in Arizona, as a little bit of an anxious game. Do you feel that from your side, that Oregon fans are maybe a little anxious because it's been a tough place to play for the Ducks?
Well, I think anytime the Northwest schools come down to the desert, it's always a challenge, weather-wise, the atmosphere, et cetera, and it's always a big game too. And at least from, I think, the Arizona perspective, it's just a big game. It's playing Oregon, and even though the Ducks have had the better of the series here in recent years, I think it's a heated rivalry. In fact, if you look at the 4 Northwest schools, I don't think there's any question that the Arizona fans look forward to playing Oregon more than they do the other 3 teams. And so because of that, it's important. The Wildcats have made vast improvement over the last couple of years in terms of their personnel and obviously their 1-loss record. And so that gives them hope that maybe they can pull off an upset.
Talking about the series history, particularly in Arizona, do you have games that stick out, home games for the Wildcats, maybe even road games at Autzen Stadium, that stick out in this series history? Because I got to tell you, maybe more so than most other teams in the Pac-12, there are some matchups between Oregon and Arizona that I remember both positive and negative on the Duck side.
Yeah, I think a couple times, I know at least once, the Ducks have come here ranked number 2 in the nation, and Arizona's won that game. Rich Rod took a team up to Autzen Stadium and won there. Those 2 stand out to me. It seems to bring out the best in both teams, and Oregon's had the better of it. But I think Arizona seems to play well against Oregon. I thought last year's game at Autzen Stadium, Arizona played probably as well as they did all year, except for the 5 turnovers.
Yeah.
And maybe that might have changed the game. I don't know, but the players seem to be well aware of the rivalry. Even if they're new guys, they know what this is all about.
Yeah, Brian Jeffries joining us. So you touched on the improvement this year. Update Duck fans on what the improvement has been. What has Coach Fish been able to do heading into this season that's led to some success?
Well, he brought in one of the top recruiting classes in the Pac-12, one of the top 20 classes in the nation. They paid dividends right away. That not only includes some freshmen who have made an impact, but he is a firm believer in the transfer portal. And like Oregon, he's brought in a transfer quarterback that's made a huge difference. And I think, Oregon fans certainly know about Jaden DeLora. Played at Washington State, played at Autzen Stadium last year with the Cougars. He's coming off back-to-back 400-yard passing games the last 2 weeks. And Jed he's an NFL guy, and he believes in passing offense, and he's found a guy that can do it now. And they have 3 really outstanding receivers. And again, transfer portal, they bring in Jacob Cowing from UTEP, who was all-conference there, their leading receiver last year. Then you look over on the defensive side, one of their key additions, Hunter Eccles, transfer from USC. And so, Joe, you kind of see the theme here is that he's brought this influx of new talent in, and that's why Arizona's sitting at 3-2 right now.
Brian, I'm curious, with Coach Fish having that NFL background, the comparison has been made by a lot of us that the transfer portal is more akin to free agency at the professional level than anything we've ever seen in college athletics. Do you feel like Coach Fish has embraced it in that way? Are there some parallels there?
Absolutely. I mean, he fully believes in it. He's got a guy that watches the transfer portal on a daily basis to see who's out there. And as soon as it's permissible to talk to those guys, they're going to do it. They want to bring in the right people, like every coach. And all you have to do is look at Arizona's roster right now and understand what they've been able to do just in 1 year in that area. And they're going to keep looking at it. They're going to keep bringing in guys that they know can fit into the program.
The way the schedule's gone so far for the Wildcats, I mean, get that great win on the road to start the season against San Diego State. But I feel like, and I'm curious your perspective, correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, it's been a little bit up and down, kind of up and down week to week in terms of results. Is that the case? Has it been a little bit of a roller coaster for the Wildcats?
Well, it's been win, loss, win, loss, win. Beat San Diego State on the road, like you said. That was a great way to start the season. Lost at home to Mississippi State, did not play very well in that game. Granted, the Bulldogs are a very good football team. Beat North Dakota State, the perennial, FCS championship program that I tell you what, that team's going to beat a lot of Division I teams, or they have over the years. I think Oregon's going to see them here in a few years down the road. Lost at Cal. I think that was, again, a game that Arizona led at halftime and just let it get away from them in the second half and beat Colorado last week. And they had to win. You have to beat Colorado. That's just not a very good program right now. And so I think they're kind of where, if you look before the season started, and if you said if Arizona's 3-2 after 5 games, there's nothing wrong with that at all. They're right where they'd hoped to be in terms of their progression. Now, Jed Fish is going to tell you right away, Joey, that they're not a finished product by any means. This is a building process for his staff. They want to be better than they were last year. They are better than they were last year, but he is not giving anybody the idea that they're challenging for a conference championship yet. They're still a couple recruiting classes away from being a program that can be in the upper echelon of the Pac-12, but they're making progress and they're building, and that's what he keeps preaching to the players, and they're believing that.
Voice of the Wildcats, Brian Jeffries, here with us. You touched on Jaden DeLaura, how dynamic he can be. How dynamic has he been for the Wildcats so far?
Well, last year Arizona ran out of quarterbacks, if that gives you any indication. I mean, they had injuries. They ended up with a walk-on starting the last part of the season for them, and bless his heart, Will Plummer did everything he could, but they needed to make an upgrade there. They didn't have depth last year, and so they've got 5 quarterbacks on scholarship right now, which is where Jed wanted to be. Jaden came in. He played well at Washington State. He just has those intangibles, a guy that already had played 2 years of college football, and to have him be able to come in, and he won the job in the spring. There was no doubt about it. And he just keeps getting better every week. The other thing that you need to know about him is that ever since high school, he played in the same system through Washington State. This is a totally different system for him. And it's taken him a while to grasp that. And the last 2 weeks, I think, are a good example of the improvement that he's made. The offensive line has been consistent. That's been a big help. And again, he's had some really good receivers to throw to. So he's also, the other thing, Joey, he's learned that he can run with the ball. The first couple of weeks, he shied away from running. The last 3 games now, the coaches have said, hey, if you've got some open field there, he's athletic enough, and he's been able to pick up some positive yardage. He's not Bo Nix, but I tell you what, he's not afraid to run either.
Well, hey, this is what I said about this matchup, is that 2 mobile quarterbacks, it makes for an exciting game a lot of the time in college football and pro football and football in general these days. You touched on the receivers. I'll tell you, Coach Lanning has been very complimentary of the receivers. He called them the most talented receiving group that the Ducks have faced all season. How good are these pass catchers for the Wildcats?
Well, I mentioned Jacob Cowing coming over from UTEP and leading the Pac-12 in receiving, coming off a 12-catch game against Colorado. Tremendous in the open field, knows how to get open, makes great moves after he catches the ball. Dorian Singer, who didn't play the first 7 games last year for Arizona and then came on in the last 5 games. I don't think we still realized how good maybe he could be, and he's been clutch so far. And then T-Mac, the freshman, who almost went to a head committed to Oregon verbally, and if not for a coaching change, could very well be wearing a Ducks uniform right now. But he's got some of his Servite teammates that signed with Arizona. They kind of talked him into coming to the Wildcats, and he had his best game this past week, and he's going to be I can't tell you how good he's going to be down the road. He's just barely scratched what we're going to see from him.
Voice of the Wildcats, Brian Jeffries with us. We continue. Let's talk about the defense. You hit on it a little bit. Just what's the defense like, and what are the Ducks facing when the offense for Oregon's on the field?
New coordinator this year, Johnny Nansen, came over from UCLA. Don Brown left to coach at UMass. So Nansen has brought a different style to the defense. Their run defense has struggled in 2 games this year, in particular against North Dakota State and against Cal. And so I think that's the biggest question mark. And Oregon can run the ball, so can Arizona stop the run? That's probably number one. The secondary is really solid. All those guys are back from a year ago. They did, I think they did make a bit of an upgrade at linebacker. A lot of people question, and I still wonder, they don't have a lot of depth at linebacker. So the front 4 really have to play well. And 3 of them are back. And I mentioned earlier, Hunter Echols came over from USC in the transfer portal, and he's been a huge help on the defensive end. So if the front 7 can do its job, the back end of it is good. The front 7 is the area that is probably going to carry this team if they're going to be a good defensive team as the season goes on.
We've hit on some of them, but I always like to sum up, Brian. What are the keys to the game? What's going to take for Arizona to be successful here on Saturday?
Well, we talk here, Joey, about playing a clean game. In Arizona's 3 wins, they've turned the ball over twice. So if they can play that, and they've kept penalties at a minimum, they've averaged about 5 penalties a game. They had 6 last week. One of them, by the way, was against the coaching staff, so I'm not going to count that. The coaches, they have to run lines, but anyway, if Arizona can play that clean game, not turn the ball over, keep the penalties at a minimum, then they've got to stop the run. If they can do those three things, it gives Arizona a chance to win the game.
Yeah, the penalties, that's going to be something for Oregon fans as well. You took the words out of my mouth on that one with what Coach Lanning called embarrassment in terms of penalties against Stanford. I like that. All right, I have to ask you because it's not very long from now. You and I are going to be talking all about basketball, Brian. You guys just had your red and blue game, didn't you, not that long ago? Yeah. Basketball season's going to be here before we know it. What's the outlook?
Well, it's a different team than last year. They lost 3 guys to the NBA, and so Tommy Lloyd has recruited well. He's gone to Europe again and brought in a kid from Serbia, another kid from Estonia. They're going to make an immediate impact. I don't think this team is going to be as athletic as last year's team was, but at the same time, just knowing Tommy Lloyd for a year now, I believe in what he can do to transform some young players into a pretty good team. I think the one name, I mean, you're going to recognize Umar Ballo's back, Azulis Tabelis, Kirk Kriisa, etc. But Henry Vasar is a 7-foot freshman out of Estonia that I know Tommy Lloyd recruited, for a long, long time. And watching him in some of their limited practices, he is going to be a difference maker. I don't know if he's going to be in the starting lineup or not, but he's one of those guys that, Joey, you know how those European guys play, and he's a stretch 4 that can shoot from the outside. He can put the ball on the court. He is literally 7 feet tall, and I question that. He might be taller than 7 feet. I haven't stood next to him yet, but I think that with the influx of the new guys, it's going to take a while for this team to kind of come together, but it's the same style. They're going to push the ball, and they're going to try and score a lot. I mean, that's their whole deal, and I'm looking forward to see what they've got a game against Indiana in Las Vegas, and they go to Maui this year, and that field is loaded. So we'll know a lot more after those games.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's going to be here before we know it. And Oregon fans, Arizona fans, both, I think, look forward to that matchup whenever they meet on the court. Brian Jeffries, voice of the Wildcats. Brian, I can't thank you enough for taking the time. Looking forward to being back in Arizona. It's been a while, actually, since I've been out there. It feels like it anyway. So thanks for the time, Brian. Looking forward to catching up with you in person on Saturday.
We're going to keep it as hot as possible for you, Joey. We'll see you Saturday.
I like that. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more football. We're also going to hear from Terra McGowan of Oregon Softball on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear, call me Papa Bear, because I'm grilling up dinner. Do you get it?
Yes, good job.
So, what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha, 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 ha.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
We are back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. My thanks again to Brian Jeffries for joining us, voice of the Wildcats. This week's women's sports schedule spotlight. Normally, I'd be saying, hey, it's all soccer, it's all volleyball. They're in action. We're going to tell you about that more coming up today. But I think that the spotlight has to shine brightly on Oregon softball. They're at home. Fall ball begins on Sunday, 11 a.m. doubleheader against Corban. And earlier this week, got the chance to talk with Terra McGowan as she and the Ducks have been all over a toy drive. Really outstanding work from Terra McGowan. We talked with her about that and more earlier this week. Talking fall ball, just down the hall from us are the softball offices. And so we get here this morning. We're recording on a Wednesday, and I get told Tara's going to hang out in the softball offices. So I go down there. I got to tell you, I'm anticipating, like, you're in talking ball with Coach Lombardi. You're talking with somebody down there, and you're the only one down there at 9 o'clock in the morning. Good for you.
Thank you.
Well done, Tara. So you were just at weights. Is that right?
Yeah, we had weights for 45 minutes this morning.
How was it?
Brutal, but you gotta love the grind.
That's right. Before we talk about fall ball coming up, this excellent toy drive that you guys are doing, tell fans a little bit about what the off season was like. Tell fans about what it's like being back on campus with your group.
Yeah, I think off season this summer was different than any other off season. You really felt the connectivity of the team. We're kind of spread out, but we have a good amount in SoCal and got to hang out with people from different states. We were all traveling. It was really cool, but there's nothing like being back at the Jane with the team. I think you're feeling a veteran group from us, and the preparation has excelled from previous years, and we're at a very good starting point.
How big of a deal is fall ball come springtime?
I think fall ball is a huge deal just to get, the few new athletes used to the Jane, used to the environment, and just back on the field. There's nothing like real game in time playing, and I love that we get to do that in the fall.
Shout out then to the fans who are going to make your way out. It's free all season long in the fall at the Jane. The full schedule is on GoDucks.com. A few double headers for you guys. You want the environment to get that practice, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, we actually will play crowd noise at practice sometimes, but nothing compares to the atmosphere of actual fans at the Jane.
See, that's awesome. I mean, we talk about that like with football. They'll blare speakers out on the field, but the fact that you guys have to do that because of the Jane, that speaks volumes, forgive the pun, to what Jane Sanders Stadium is. All right, tell us a little bit about this toy drive. So coming up Sunday, 11 a.m., doubleheader against Corban at Jane Sanders Stadium. You guys are working on a toy drive. Give fans the details.
Yeah, so the toy drive stemmed from actually an assignment that I had last year. We got to partner with a local institution. We went with Willamette Family. They're right down the street, and they are really focused on just giving back to the community in any way they can. So the toy drive was an awesome opportunity. Last year, we raised 70 toys with an addition of almost $2,000. We made them a Venmo account, so if you can't make it, they do have a Venmo account. It's Willamette-Family.
I saw you guys on social media mention that. I thought that was a great idea because a bunch of fans were like, well, I can't be there. That's so awesome. So it started out as a group project, you said. So give us more details. How did it get going? How did you guys get involved?
Yeah, one of my upper division psych classes last year, we just had random group assignments, and it was just go nuts with community service. Do what you want to do, and we figured a toy drive would be awesome, and it actually stemmed a few days before our fall game, so we only had it out for maybe 3 or 4 days before the game, and we still had such an amazing turnout.
Yeah, that's awesome. So last year, how many did you guys get? I know you guys want to double it this year, right?
70.
Wow.
And I hand-delivered them to Willamette Family, which was really cool.
Yeah, how powerful was that?
That was awesome. And hopefully we can get some of the staff out to the game. Last spring, they actually had a mental health booth at one of our games, so it would be really cool to get them there.
That's awesome. So getting close to the season, and you get to do something pretty cool and helping out struggling families in the Eugene-Springfield area. That's just a great endeavor. Remind fans of the Venmo one more time if they can't get there.
Willamette-Family. It'll probably be on Oregon Softball's Twitter, and there will be signs around the Jane.
If you follow any of the softball student athletes on social media, you've already seen many of you have replied to tweets about that. So that's just an awesome endeavor. I think that's great that you guys are doing that. And, it gives you another reason to be involved in the community, right? I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, you strike me as somebody who takes full advantage of the student-athlete experience.
Absolutely. Oregon offers so much, and being able to give back to the community is just one of those branches that Oregon offers. And I think softball, more than any other sport on campus, in my opinion, we really take advantage of that community outreach.
Yeah, you guys do. It's been that way for a long time. Okay, fans will want me to ask you a little bit about softball as well. Tell us about the team. You feel like this is a good group, you said.
Yeah, I mean, we are all veterans. I think we have 4 newbies, and one freshman. So we are very veteran. They've picked up right where we left off. If you come out to practices in the fall games, you'll see we are head and shoulders above where we've been in the past, and it's been a really high-paced environment.
That's awesome to hear. And I'm going to brag about you a little bit, if I could. So all Pac-12 first team, all Pac-12 defensive team, all region second team, led the team in hitting at 375. First catcher to lead the Ducks, by the way. I don't know if you knew this, in hitting since 2005.
I had no idea.
It's difficult to be a catcher and be really good offensively, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when you have the right support system, makes it a little easier.
I get that. Hey, no, I get it. You catchers are it's a tough job.
Right.
It's a tough job. By the end of the season, how many bruises do you usually have?
It starts in the summer, so hundreds, but last year I actually also broke my hand.
Right.
So there was that.
Yeah. You've been through a lot in your career. Just how excited are you for this season and to kind of go out the way you want?
Yeah, I think it's awesome that me, Caitlin Howard, Allie Bunker, we've been here since version 1, and to be able to go out with them is amazing. I think we're coming full circle, and I know there's going to be a lot of tears on senior day, but it'll be a lot of fun.
You're already thinking about that? Like it's already on your mind? I didn't even ask you about senior day. You already brought it up.
I'm one of the lesser emotional athletes, so yes, because I'm like, oh, I might actually cry in front of these people who have never seen me cry.
Yeah. That's okay, though.
Yeah.
You know, it's supposed to be that way. All right, remind fans one more time, the fall ball schedule, it starts 11 a.m. against Corban on Sunday. Toy drive.
Toy drive. New toys, any ages. Willamette family mission statement is to just give back to the community, so we hope to see you guys there. And if you can't bring a toy, there's always a Venmo option.
Tara, great work.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Congratulations on a great endeavor, and here's to 200, 250, 300, however many toys you get, right? How are you going to carry it all? Does it fit in your car?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Oh, last year it did, so maybe this year we might have to bring 2 cars.
Good. Good problem to have.
Right.
Terra McGowan, everybody. Thanks, Tara.
Thank you.
That was awesome. It's great stuff what Oregon softball is doing. How cool is that it started out as a group project for a class and then became this? So Terra McGowan and the Oregon softball team, 11 a.m. Sunday against Corban, a doubleheader. Bring that toy to benefit the Willamette Valley, or Willamette family, I should say. But Willamette Valley family, you get the idea. Talking about the Diamond Sports for a second. Oregon set a program record with 9 former Ducks on Major League Baseball rosters during the 2022 season, including 4 players on teams that have advanced to the playoffs. Highlighted by Tyler Anderson. He was at Oregon from 09 to 11. Finished the regular season 15-5, a 2.57 ERA for the Dodgers. I'm telling you, the Dodgers are not where they are right now heading into the playoffs without Tyler Anderson. Just really impressive. And he was the first former Duck selected to the All-Star game since Hall of Famer Joe Gordon in 1949. Congratulations, Tyler Anderson. The program record 9 former Ducks on Major League rosters, and fall ball is also underway for Oregon baseball. When we come back, let's hear from Bennett Williams. First, our Slocum Center Minute. Injuries that are specific to the sport of soccer. Unfortunately, Graham Abel's squad has dealt with some of those this year, haven't they? Slocum Center Minute, then we're going to hear from Bennett Williams on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear gas prices, Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. That says it all. Toyota hybrids. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimates, CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Dear gas prices, Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. That says it all. Toyota hybrids. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimates, CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
To your children's eyes to see the true magic of a forest. It's a storybook world for them. You look and see a tree. They see the wrinkled face of a wizard with arms outstretched to the sky. They see treasure in pebbles. They see a windy path that could lead to adventure. And they see you, their fearless guide through this fascinating world.
Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Jelly. Jelly adjective. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt US Kids, and the Ad Council.
Welcome to the Slocum Center Minute. Slocum Center physicians are located here in Eugene and are the official orthopedic team physicians for your beloved Oregon Ducks. With me today, I have Dr. Brick Lance, who specializes in sports medicine and knee and shoulder surgery at Slocum Center for Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Dr. Lance, it's my understanding that a sports injury led you to become an orthopedic surgeon.
That's correct. At age 17, I had a fairly serious injury. I was playing soccer, and I had a knee dislocation. So I tore most of the ligaments in my knee and had a bad cartilage injury. That was difficult. That was a serious injury. I was in a cast for 6 months and on crutches for 6 months. Well, back in the 70s, now that kind of dates me, orthopedic surgeons didn't know exactly how to treat some of these more serious injuries. So that really led to my interest to know how to treat athletic injuries.
Dr. Lance, what's your interest in soccer today?
Well, I do have an interest in soccer. Of course, I did get to play soccer as a youth, but I also was able to coach soccer for about 12 years, mostly in kids' sports, but also in high school tournaments. And as most people know, soccer is the most played and the most watched sport throughout the entire world. And as an orthopedic surgeon, I do have the privilege of being able to travel the world on mission trips. And typically I'll take soccer balls with me, donated by Kids Sports, and that's a great way to create relationships because soccer is played universally throughout the entire world. Just recently returned from Haiti and took soccer balls, played down on the beach. It was very fun.
Dr. Lance, how does soccer compare to other sports when it comes to injuries?
Well, of course, some of the injuries are very similar, but soccer is a unique sport. At Slocum, we do have the privilege of providing quite a bit of on-field coverage for a variety of different soccer athletic events, and we treat a lot of soccer injuries. And that includes the high school, the college, includes kids sports, includes adult recreation leagues, which are popular here in Eugene. And now we volunteer our service for the Lane United Club. But the injuries are varied. The anterior cruciate ligament, or the ACL, is a common injury. We have been involved in trying to do prevention for ACL injuries in particular through our physical therapy department and reaching out to the soccer clubs and trying to educate both coaches and parents. Concussions actually is a very common injury in soccer as well. And Dr. Keister is really at the forefront of understanding concussions and particularly the long-term consequences of those. And he treats a lot of the kids and adults with concussion injuries. Also, you get your typical muscle strains, your sprains, and not too infrequently a fracture as well. Of course, the fractures often need acute treatment. So there's a wide variety of injuries that can come from soccer.
So this isn't just a profession for you. This is a passion because of the sport of soccer which you played.
That is correct. I still like talking about soccer. I like seeing soccer players. I like interacting with the coaches. It's definitely an enjoyment for me. And, of course, I like getting the players back on the field. That's the real joy.
To see the smiles.
Yeah.
I know you have online information.
Yeah, it's www.slocum.com.
Dr. Lance, thanks so much for the information and for doing what you do.
It's a pleasure. I enjoy it.
This was the Slocum Center Minute, brought to you by Slocum Center for Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, the official orthopedic sports medicine team physicians for University of Oregon Athletics since 1967.
Jerry Allen with our Slocum Center Minute. We welcome you back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Said we're going to hear from Bennett Williams, one of the guys who's a leader on this defense, on this entire team. How do you go about slowing down a guy like Jaden DeLaura? The matchup with what Coach Lanning said was maybe the best wide receiver core that Oregon's faced so far. Bennett Williams, he knows it's a challenge. He talked to the media this week.
A road game. I know the last one you guys didn't necessarily start how you wanted to. What are some things you've been focusing on to make sure that you come out of the gate strong on the road?
Yeah, I think it's really, like you said, about the start. Can't start slow. You look at the games this year that we've dominated really, and it's been from the jump, right? And so that's been the mentality, that's been the focus of practice. Come out strong, but we got to obviously play a complete game and finish too.
What just makes this offense really good, really tough to stop?
Yeah, they got playmakers all over the field. Obviously that quarterback, we've seen him before. He's pretty darn good. Can move all around, will keep the play alive for a while, and keeps his eyes downfield. So he's, we're going to have to lock onto those receivers in the back end and do our best to stop him, from scrambling. Got to play sound football. The receivers are good. They're definitely an explosive offense and like to take shots down the field.
Similarities between them and Washington State?
Yeah, that's who I kind of compared him to. Different a little bit in the way they scheme things and their aggressiveness down the field, right, rather than a ton of screens and stuff like that. But it'll be a lot of tackling in space that we got to do. So we've been working on that.
Is there anything you've seen on tape with Delore that makes him more difficult in this scheme than the last time you guys saw him?
I'd really just say the weapons he has around him, right, and deep threats that he has around him. He can air it out down the field, but same player can run and scramble. So we gotta stop him.
You played really well against these guys last year, but between the personnel changes here and defenses here, and also them, I think they have like 50 new players. Yeah, they're clearly not a 12 and 13 base personnel team. Is there anything you can even take from just playing well against them? Is there anything you can take from last year's game against these guys?
It's definitely very different. Different in terms of the personnel and the weapons they got, and the scheme that they're running. It always feels good to, after last year playing really well against them, whether it's the uniforms that you see on the field, it's like, okay, something gives a good feeling about it. Excited to play down there. That's going to be a new environment, but I feel good about every game I go into.
You guys really haven't played in the heat since the summer. Will it be good to go back to that? Like, how are you feeling about it being like when you land, it's going to be hot out?
Yeah, it'll be a little different. I don't think I'm too worried about. I don't think any of us are too worried about the weather. It doesn't look like it's going to be 110, so that's good. But any weather we gotta adapt to and play our best ball. I think obviously in fall camp we did a lot of. It was pretty hot back then, and that's been a while. But I think guys can adjust. We'll be all right.
It seems like your tackling has improved a lot this season, especially open field tackling. Is there something you're doing different in preparation? How have you seen that improve from your side of
We've been working on it a ton in practice, right? And you see not just me, but a lot of guys are improving just from even game one. And on our tackling, I take a lot of pride in doing that because we were somewhat poor at it initially, right? And so as a leader on the defense, I feel like you got to show it first, right, before you can just talk about it. And so that was something I definitely took pride in. Yeah.
Two of their new weapons are Cowing and T-Mac, 2 and 4. Just what is challenging? What's kind of the preparation that you have for them? What makes it challenging? Those are good players. Cowing's a really good receiver. Can do almost everything, right? Runs routes out of every position on the field. And then 4 obviously is big, tall, good deep threat, good possession receiver. They got them all across the board. It's going to be definitely a tough matchup, but that's something that we embrace and look forward to.
Any of your guys who have given you a really good scout team look for Cowing and kind of his versatility?
We take a lot of the 1s and 2s, and we're bringing them over for some scout team reps. Josh Delgado, Chachi, has been over, giving us great looks. He runs some great routes, so that's giving us great looks for number 2 for Jacob, but everybody across the board, right? So we've been preparing pretty well.
Jacob's not the biggest guy, but what do you see him do on tape that just makes him so, like you said, explosive?
He's a playmaker, comes off the ball hard every time, great hands, runs really good routes, and I think speed in his routes is the biggest thing. And he doesn't stop and start a lot. It's like he's running he's coming off the ball with speed and he's running his route with speed, right? So if you slip up or jump one way or the other, you're toast. So that's going to stress our technique.
Boss is someone who's really seen an increased role so far this year. What have you seen kind of growth from him from week 1 to now?
Tackling, the biggest thing, you know, and that's something that I emphasize for him, and I kind of put stress on him to like, look, we love you. You can run side to side, sideline. We love having you on the field. You're a smart player, and you can run sideline to sideline like that and be able to tackle and get guys down on the first wrap up. You know, it's going to help our defense tremendously. So that's the biggest thing I would say.
How and where does this opposing offense put stress onto defense?
They like I said, they take downfield shots. They're going to try and, you know, push it down the field, but then again, right, our D-line is going to have to cage the quarterback a lot because he's going to try and get out, keep plays alive, and then as DBs, it's going to be, you know, a lot of plastering. Like, we got to stay with those receivers once he gets out the pocket. You know, whether it's 2 seconds or 10 seconds, you know, he's running around back there. We got to stay on our receivers and limit those explosive big plays.
Did you play a lot against Delora in 20?
Yeah, I played a good amount, actually. That was probably most reps I got that season.
What do you remember most about just facing him?
I would say the same thing. He was obviously a younger player back then. I think he's matured a little bit, but you know, the way he's able to create plays and keep plays alive. They had a lot of explosive plays. I remember that game. It was a little bit of a different scheme, but now they gear this offense for taking shots to kind of live, you know, in his realm.
Your guys' team has really improved week to week. There's one thing that you're looking to like get out of this week specifically. What would that be for you?
Personally, honestly, first for the team, I want to see a complete game played as far as defense. Right, we've done it really well. We've done everything really well in different games. Right, we have to put it all together. You know, personally, I feel like I want to continue to tackle really well. My man-to-man coverage, I want to improve and, you know, prove to myself that I'm really an elite cover guy. And then, I mean, I'll be playing some different looks this week, so just doing my job and doing it to a high level.
As many new faces are in the secondary this year, just what has Christian brought? Because I mean, like last week, you guys are all matched up at Wilson against different times. I think he was targeted like 2 of 6 when targeted for like 7 yards and didn't allow a catch by Wilson. I don't think you allowed a catch by Wilson. Yeah. So, just what has he meant to this secondary?
Yeah, he's a huge addition, if not the biggest addition to our defense. You know, it gives us, whether he's playing corner, nickel, whatever he's playing, he is an elite cover guy, pretty elite tackler as well. You know, long, physical, and a smart guy, right? So anywhere we put him, we feel like, okay, he can shut down that part of the field. And like as a safety, if I'm playing safety, you know, it feels like, okay, I can rely on him to completely, like I don't have to help to that side of the field because he's got his matchup locked up one-on-one.
When you talk about your own coverage, how much is the touchdown last week? Are you able to move on from that? And that was such an elite throw.
Yeah.
Like there was virtually nothing you could have actually, from where you started on that play. Yeah. There was basically nothing you could have done.
But there is, and that's where, like, for me, you know, yeah, it was a great play. It was a great throw. And it was, you know, right into our coverage, right? That's what they ran it, a great play. But there's little things that I'm looking at technique, like, okay, you know, I might see that again, and how now can I, you know, I got to cut to the top shoulder just a little bit more instead of trailing, right? And I'll probably be in position to make that play. You know, playing the eyes a little bit better. It's just little stuff, and that's the stuff I love, right? Because that can challenge me and bring it down to the smallest details, and that's what, you know, separates a good player from a really great player.
So much great stuff from Bennett Williams. I mean, he could be in an interview all the time, right? And you're going to learn something about this football team. Great stuff from Bennett Williams. When we come back, the schedule for the weekend and an early show tomorrow. Details on that. I should have mentioned that at the start of the show. It was a good show until right then. We're back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
This is an important message from the Mine Safety and Health Administration. Mining fatalities, accidents, and injuries are preventable. Taking a minute to approach your task safely can protect you and your fellow miners from injury and death. Staying alert and focused can keep you safe. Do it safe. Do it right. Whether buckling a seatbelt or securing equipment, these quick safety measures can prevent injuries and fatalities. Take time. Save lives. For more resources, visit MSHA.gov.
Farming is dangerous. There's dangers all around us.
We go through safety training and try and do these things to make sure accidents don't happen.
You don't want to hit a gas pipe because that's your life. The other part of it is if you hit certain things, you're liable for it.
Farm Safe 811 starts with you. Always call 811 and wait for any underground lines to be marked.
Always keep safety in the back of your mind. Just stay humble.
For more information, go to farmsafe811.org.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, Duck Insider presented by On Point Community Credit Union. I want to go through the schedule for you because it's busy tonight. 5:30, the Duck soccer team is in Salt Lake City. It's on Pac-12 Network. This is a big-time test for the Duck soccer program. They're a little banged up. Talking with Graham Abel about that on Monday, and they're right there, right around 500. They've got some draws earlier in the season they'd really like back. I feel like this is a game that Oregon needs to get. 5:30 on Pac-12 Network tonight if you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour. Oregon volleyball, 7 o'clock on Friday. The Ducks are at Washington State. It's televised on Pac-12 Oregon. That's a big-time match on the road for Duck volleyball to stay atop the Pac-12 standings. Of course, Oregon football in action in Tucson. You've probably seen some updates on Oregon women's and men's tennis in the ITA Northwest Regionals and the ITA All-American programs. More details on GoDucks.com for both of those programs as they continue in the... It's so funny. I was about to say preseason, but really this is just part of the overall year-long season for tennis. And then we've got, of course, that doubleheader for Oregon softball, 11 a.m. at the Jane on Sunday. And then out in Boulder, Oregon soccer. It's on the Colorado live stream at noon on Sunday. And Oregon volleyball is in Seattle at 4 o'clock on Sunday. Pac-12 Network for the TV broadcast. Duck football tomorrow, because we're traveling, 10:30 to 11:30. If you watch the show live, doing it from 10:30 to 11:30 tomorrow morning with Jerry, Georgie, and myself. See you then.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer? The Drug Facts label. This label lists the medicine's active ingredients and purpose, how much to take, and warnings you should know before using it. Remember, even OTC medicines you buy without a prescription can cause side effects you don't want. So follow the information listed on the Drug Facts label. For more information, visit fda.gov/Drug Facts label. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever